Picked the wrong week and quit sniffing glue.
Well, welcome back, guys. It's another week. It's another project. It's another set of projects because I got something coming. Ooh, I got something big in the works, and I'm not ready to start on it yet. So I need to fill in. So I'm going to do another odds and ends week because, frankly, I need to clean some space off. What I've got coming is huge. Actually, it's here. I just haven't. I'm not ready for it yet. There's some other materials I need to acquire first. It's one of those rare instances when I can go back and redo something, revisit something that I had done in the past. And frankly, the last time I did this particular thing, I wasn't that good. I bit off a lot more than I could chew, I thought back then. It came out okay, but there's just a lot of techniques I didn't know back then that I know now. So, you know, if you've ever had one of those things, oh, if I only knew now what I knew, or knew then what I know now, hopefully it will be a much happier outcome this time. I will give you a hint. So this is the only hint I will give you. Ooh, there's your big hint. Again, not quite ready to tackle that. It's going to be a weeks-long project when I do. So forget what you just saw and join me on the table so we can do some more odds and ends this week and a little bit more cleanup and hopefully do some colorful projects that you will enjoy. Okay, here is the list of colorful projects. Things I want to get done and get off of the... I've had half done, I've had partially done. I need to go ahead and finish up. And it's a robot palooza at this point, pretty much. It is, well, you don't see him over here. It is Twiki with Dr. Theophilus that I need to finish up. It is the Mangalores, not the Mandalorian, the Mangalores. It's Bender and his Galbots. It is Oogie Boogie, not a robot at all, but still something I wanted to get finished. And it is the Genie Bottle. I will tell you, and without any sense of shame or embarrassment, that getting I Dream a Genie Bottle was the chief reason I wanted to get the particular printer that I have. I wanted something large enough that I could print a Genie Bottle with full scale and not have to piece it together. And it was one of the first successful prints that ever came off of my printer. However, it's got a fairly intricate pattern on it and needs to be painted. So we're gonna tackle that amongst all these other things, and the Bender that you don't see here, because I'm printing a new Bender that is a little bit more posable. I discovered by talking to the nice people at Yambody, who I should have started my conversation with, that when you buy the files, like I downloaded the resin version of Bender and the Galbots here. I thought that was it. I thought that that's all you got with your purchase, and if you wanted the FDM version, you had to go back and buy it again. And since I don't have an FDM printer, I figured I had no reason or had no use for the FDM version files. And the nice people at Gambody said, no, you have basically bought all of the parts. So I was able to go back and download the FDM parts, which were broken up. That was my chief complaint, was that, say, this particular Galbot, this is all one piece. This is one file. And I wanted to be able to break those up and make it more posable. Plus, if you are printing this and the arm craps out on you or something, then it's pretty much a useless file or useless print. But if you break it up into the parts and a leg fails, well, you can go back and print that leg. That's how I prefer to do it. Being a old model maker from way back when, I prefer to print parts and then build the thing rather than print the whole statue. Now, Oogie Boogie and the Mangalore, they're all single parts. Now, Mangalore's head is a separate part, and the arms here are separate parts. But it's pretty much a full thing. And I prefer to have a little bit more posability or a little bit more latitude, particularly when it comes to painting in behind things. So I was delighted to hear that I could, qualify to go out and bring down the individual files, so I did that. So now I'm reprinting Bender in a way that I can, make better use of the mobility of parts. So I'm bouncing around from project to project like I like to do, and turning my attention to the Genie bottle. And a few weeks ago, right after I printed this, as a matter of fact, so I guess it's a few months ago now, I looked online and found that there was a gentleman who was selling painting guides specifically for the Genie bottle, or actually for the Jim Beam bottle that this was based on. And I don't know if the printed, even though the verbiage on the printed 3D part, this file, stipulated that the guy had used the Jim Beam bottle as his model to get his dimensions. I don't know, somewhere something got lost in translation, and when I printed the template out, it came out a little short. It came out just a little bit of a gap. So this is at 100%. So I don't know if the templates were a little small or the bottle printed a little large. I'll tell you right now, I'm not printing this bottle again because I think this was like a 29-hour print. And it's easier to change the templates than it is to change the bottle. So right now I'm just zeroing in on the size. This was 100%. This is 110%, and it's a little big. So I start, and the next obvious thing is to do 105% and see how it rolls. And if 105% works, then great. But if not, I will gauge it up and down from there. And then once I have that magic number, I can copy that to all of the other templates that I need and figure out the best way to start working on these. And then it's just going to be a question of tracing these off, I think. Tracing them off, making my color separations, and then painting them on. I'm liking the base purple that I've got here. I think this is a good ground floor to start with. I don't know. I think maybe after the whole thing is said and done, I might put a finish coat on it to make it look a little deeper. But I need to see how the other colors are going to react to it before I go hog wild on making any wide-scale changes. So right now, basically, I'm cleaning up parts. I'm cleaning Bender parts. I'm just, getting things ready to start painting. The Monticello here is basically going to be done with accent colors and washes. This gold color that is underneath here as a base is it's a good start, but it's not where I want to end up. So I just have to figure out which colors go where. Obviously, the shame is I'm not going to try to light this. There were lights that showed up here. There were lights in the armor, but no, that's not something I'm interested in doing. So painting is good enough in that instance. Going to Tweaky. Tweaky was a very, I want to say a unicolor, but it was that very flat silver. The problem with this figure here is that I see a lot of the grain, or a lot of the pattern from the printing, and that has to do with the low poly count in the actual file. It looks like a bit like a wood grain. And these eyes cry every night for you. No, these eyes here I used as drain holes, so I need to figure out what's the best way to fill those back in. Probably with googly eyes, which was going to admittedly look really stupid until I get them painted over. But if I can put googly eyes in there and just shake that around, that would be a fun thing. Okay, that's a little disconcerting. The googly eyes look a bit like Marty Feldman at this point. But once you paint over those, you will not even notice them. I think it's not going to be worth me even trying to cut into them and removing the pupils as I normally do. I had thought of just Sorry, getting camera here. I thought of just doing the flat side. Just laying it over that way. Oops. Come on. Just, and I'd have to check up close to see whether or not having that flat front of the eye would be a better representation than that dome, but that googly eye just, here you go. This is a bit more of a Robot of the Damned look here with the blank white eyes. Yeah. I think I might like that. I think I might like that better without the dome on it. Again, I have to check a quick reference or two and see whether or not one is more appropriate than the other. But you can really see what I'm calling the wood grain, the printing grain here, based on how low a poly count this figure had, or the file had. The fun part's going to be painting up Dr. Theophilus here and putting the little rope around his neck and around Tweaky's neck to carry the doctor here, and painting up some color detail on here because Tweaky himself is woefully undercolored. Hey folks, welcome back. It's Tuesday and work is continuing on all of this mess right here. And what I like to do when I'm doing a bunch of different projects like this is I evaluate it from a time management framework. And it's like, okay, I need to spray a bunch of stuff and let it dry while I'm working on other stuff. And what I did this morning was get out a round of, get out the airbrush and a round of the buff. Actually, is it buff or was it Dectan? I think it was buff. I think it was buff that I used. And I did Oogie Boogie buff, and then I went in with a brown and sprayed in accentuated the folds and the creases and that kind of stuff. And then I am going to do a light buff over top of that to kind of blend all that shadowing back in. But look at well, you can see that. Can you see the wonderful burlap pattern that is all over this character, and printed out beautifully like that? And I gotta tell you, I did not put a primer coat over that simply because of that very reason. I did not want to muddy up or fill in or otherwise obscure the wonderful texture that's going on right here. And I was thinking that, you know, in this instance I could get away with it because it's not a big model. There are no moving parts. I'm not going to be handling it a lot. It's not really something that I'm going to worry about light blocking or anything like that. So a primer coat is not as necessary in this instance. I just sprayed that buff right over top of the printed resin, and I think we'll do fine. Now I want to go in and after I lighten this back up, I'll be doing some hand painting in here. I'll be painting the dice and the little bugs and the stitches here, and the bugs and snakes and insects that are festooning the base. So I want to go ahead and mass in that purple color now for the big snake. And I found some paint that I've had for a while that is going to be, I think, a nice topper. And that is, if I can find it, this craft paint that is glow-in-the-dark craft paint. It doesn't add a whole lot of color to the outside of it. It's going to look a little bit creamy, but if I airbrush it on thin enough, I can get a glow-in-the-dark effect. I've tried this out. I stuck it under the UV curing lights that I'm using with my 3D printer, and it just lit up like a beacon. So and stayed that way for a little bit afterwards. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that's going to turn out. I've also gone in and put some of the browns on the Mondoshowan there, and pulled some new Bender parts out of the printer that I've been printing all night. So once I rough in some more snake colors here, I'm going to jump back on the Genie bottle. I spent a lot of time yesterday tracing over these shapes in vinyl, and I'm thinking that I might want to actually put the vinyl for these shapes down on the bottle. There is some areas that I need to paint, particularly gold areas, But I'm wondering if whether or not I can get away with simply putting vinyl down for some of these shapes. And luckily I've got most of these colors in a nice metallic vinyl. So we're going to see. That's going to be experiment number 1 for the day. I'm going to take a minute out to address a public service announcement of all the dangers of 3D printing. They talk about the fumes, they talk about the toxicity of the materials. These are the unheralded, unspoken, treacherous pitfalls that you really have to look out for. If you think stepping on a Lego in the middle of the night is hazardous, put your bare foot down on one of these puppies. And yes, when you are cleaning your parts with the snippers, they can fly everywhere. So please, if you value your feet, don't walk around in bare feet. First of all, well, it's my house. I'm going to walk around in bare feet. No one's going to tell me I can't. But sweep the floor for these every once in a while. You don't want to be pulling one of those out of the bottom of your foot. That's all I got to say. The makers of Legos have nothing on these guys. So I'm going around and around on the Bender kits, the Futurama bots, and I'm doing some spot puttying because, as perfect as printing can be or can't be, you still got to do touch up with body paint, with spot putty. It's not a perfect thing. And something this big that's part of a file that takes a long time to print, I'm not going to reprint it for a gap just because I got a hole. I'm going to putty it and fix it. So that's where I'm at with these guys. And I have just run the first set of vinyl parts off of the plotter, and I'm going to see how well they match up to the Genie bottle. Okay, I've just proved the concept. This is all going to work tremendously. This is all yellow for right now because that's what I use to mock things up. But I am going to plot these guys in gold. They're going to fit nicely. I'm going to plot these arcs here in white. I'm going to plot these shapes in gold. The only part that really needs painted gold is this band right here. And I think I'm going to paint this top in gold, and then you only need to leave these masks here for where the purple stays. So yeah, I think this is going to work, and there's enough banding, like there's a band here, there's a band here, there's simple banding that I can use that kind of as a margin and put the vinyl back over top as a band. But I'm definitely going to be using vinyl for these shapes and for these shapes. So yes, it's going to work. Alright, I'm back from lunch, and this time it was Arby's because, like the man says, they do have the meats. And first thing I did was to come back in and put a blending coat of the linoleum deck tan, I think it was. No, just deck tan, not linoleum deck tan, but deck tan, over top of the Oogie Boogie, and I think we've got that nice and blended back now. All that's left to do now is the hand touchy work, which is painting in the stitches and all that kind of stuff. But we're going to let this dry. Going to sit it up there and let it out of the way. I've just run the gold vinyl for all of this work here on Genie Bottle that needs the golding, and we're going to start laying that stuff down. Okay, so I'm very happy with how this is turning out. I'm just going through and I'm putting down the ones that have the well, I don't know whether you can see it here or not, but these indents have a teardrop shape, and they alternate fat side down, fat side up, fat side down, fat side up, fat side down. So what I'm doing is I'm going through and I'm putting all the ones that are fat side up in first, and that will help me when it comes to flipping it over, and it'll help me with my spacing when I'm putting the ones that are fat side down. This is going very well. I decided I would stop and apprise you of that. And here you go. All of the gold bits on it. Boy, am I glad I didn't try to paint that. I would still be working up the masking if I was going to try to paint that. So now we continue the gold work up into the rest of the bottle. Okay, so I've just plotted the white arches, not the golden arches, but the white arches that go around. You can see them here underneath the transfer tape. And they go and sit on top of this red pinstripe. So the pinstripe's in. I'm happy with how that looks. And now I'm just going to put this stripe on, and it looks to be like there's got to be some good overlap on there. So let's do this as painlessly as possible. Well, this is coming along very nicely. There are a series of pink and turquoise dots that go all over this this bottle. Most notably inside of all of these and in here. So we've got plenty of other color to put on here. I got one more band. This needs to be painted gold tonight, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do that gold painting and let that be drying overnight, and then we'll come back and finish it off tomorrow. Well, that's a good day's work between the Genie bottle here and Oogie Boogie. He's all but done. The Monda Show one, Monda Chi one, Monda whatever. Got a lot done on that. Still not quite done with him. Didn't touch Tweaky today, but that's okay. It's only Tuesday. And what I'll do is I'll let this dry overnight. And there are pink and turquoise details that need to be painted on here. And what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to go to the store and see if I can find pink and turquoise tulip, because they need to be a little bit dimensional. And I'm thinking if I can make little dollops, just little dots with that, I think that would work very nice. Be a good applicator for that. So yes, you're in a perfect spot to dry for the rest of the evening. All right, folks, it's Wednesday, and we're 2 projects down. I think we finished up 2 of the 4 that I had out here. Wait a minute, 5? Yeah, 2 of the 5. I don't know if we'll get everything done this week, but we certainly will give it a best shot. I have just gone around this morning with hand painting all the tiny dots on the bottom of the Genie bottle. Here's the thing. I noticed on the instructions on the paint guide that they show all of these that I alternated. They show them all going up. Like here's a point. I would call that a point. Let me zoom in on here so maybe you can see it better. The point that I'm trying to make. Here is a point, here is a rounded, and then a point, and then a rounded. So they alternate. These go up, these go down, these are going up, these are going down. And that's to follow the contours of the bottle. Now, I was noticing when I was painting these dots in this morning, I went back to the guide, and they show them all as going up. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't do that. I'm not going to undo what I've done. There's no pattern to these dots anyway, so as long as this is giving me the gist of it, I don't care if it doesn't have every stinking dot in the same place or every exact detail on there. This is one of those close enough is good enough for me. So I'm going to set this to the side and clear off the table, because that's what I really need right now is table space. And Oogie Boogie has been finished. Oh, I can zoom back out. I'm sorry. Let me pan back out. There, Oogie Boogie is finished. I painted up some details on the snake. I tried painting on the fluorescent paint, the glow-in-the-dark paint last night. It didn't work as well as I was hoping it was going to. I was expecting something that would be a little bit more consistent. It's not. Let me, if I can put him under some light here, we'll see if he can show up some glow. Maybe that's not it. Hold on, let me try one other thing. Okay, this is the UV curing station that I have built for my 3D printing, and you can see. Nah, see, it's not working all that well. When I put, it's weird because when I put the paint in, this is what I was hoping was going to look, how it was going to turn out, because when I put the jar of paint in there, it glows just fine. And even after I've taken this back out, it will continue to glow because it's sucking up the UV lights in here. But when I painted it on Oogie, it did not do. Okay, I've cleaned the table off the projects that are finished, and it's looking better already. I think we are 95% done with the Monda ones, so that is going to be the next project I'm going to finish off. And to do that, I'm just taking some various metallics and doing some highlights and some shadow passes and all that. I just got done with the black to fill in some shadows, and now I'm going to do just a quick, very light copper highlight pass on some of the areas. I like the contrast between the copper and the bronze, so we're going to try to play some of that up. Let me see, I need to blow out the rest of the black that's in here, but I don't need to clean the entire brush out because the dirty copper works well for me. Well, that was uncalled for. That splashed up into my face, and I was not wearing my protective goggles. Okay, so do a very light copper pass, and then the last thing I want to do is check a resource and see these lights and what color they are in what areas. Oops, still a little dark. Okay. Nice. Yeah, I like that. Trying to separate out areas of the suit and make those consistent, like the arms and the legs. I want to make those consistent, but different from the what I would conceive to be the spacesuit. A lot of brass, a lot of, not so much gold, but a lot of brass accents here. And this is one case where if your airbrush isn't completely clean and your paint is spattering, the spattering actually works. It makes a nice looking pattern, or nice looking metallic randomness to it. Gives it a good texture. Okay, now I think we are ready to call that done, with the exception of doing the lights. So let's check that and be right. Okay, I got a bit sidetracked. I was online checking the references for the Monda ones. I think I might have called this a Mangalore earlier in the video, and I didn't mean to. It's a Monda one or a Monda one, depending on who's pronouncing it. Monda one, Monda one. It is not a Mangalore, it is not a Mandalorian, it is a Monda one. And I had almost exactly 180 degree guessed wrong on the lights. The lights I thought were blue were red, the lights I thought were red were blue. And I had forgotten all about this belly light that you don't see all that much because it's only in the shot of the of them entering the pyramid and when you see their feet before they show what the full character looks like. So put the little belly spotlight down in there, and I think we are ready to put this on the shelf as a finished thing. Add it to the other things of completedness, and that just leaves us with all of this Futurama mess and young Twiki over there. Okay, I got scattered all over the place. I've got Galbot parts that are being painted. I'm painting up the swimsuits slash dresses for the ladies, and Bender's, the new Bender, the one that's in parts, is been primed, and it is waiting to get another coat of primer on it. It's off again, on again, raining outside today, so not a lot of good quality paint drying is happening. So I'll let these sit for a bit and turn my attentions over to Dr. Theopolis. Yeah, I'm taking a moment away from the doctor to work on Twiki, and I had to strike a happy medium. The flat eyes, if I'm flipping those over and making the eyes flat, just didn't quite work. But I didn't want the googly eyes being such a distraction, so I ended up slicing them and taking out the pupils, because these have a slightly yellow cast to them, and I can do that with a little bit of clear yellow over top of that, but it wouldn't be so opaque as to cover up the pupils inside, so I had to get rid of them. And I'm just going to throw in some shading on here to help him out, like in his mouth and under the domes. Now, it's true that there are lights here that I did not carve out to add that bit of detail. So I don't know if I'm going to end up painting those in or not. Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday. It's the gateway to the weekend. And today we are going to be working on Bender and the Galbots, as I have taken to calling them. I found myself reprinting a bunch of pieces, and because of that I realized I was only 1 or 2 pieces shy of making a third Galbot, so I went ahead and did that. So now I've got 3 heads, 3 bodies, 3 sets of arms, 3 sets of legs. I'm reprinting Bender's body today, and that should not take too long, and we will be able to redo that. I did a stupid thing. That I'm almost ashamed to admit, but it never really showed itself until this particular print. I had the stupid thing mirrored. I was printing things mirrored. They were the mirror opposite of what they were supposed to be. And it's a technical thing it's a setting that I didn't realize I had checked, and it didn't really come up on a lot of these projects. It never really came up because everything here is symmetrical. It has a left-right symmetry. So I found, and it wasn't all of these, it was just some of these, but I realized I had printed, the last time I printed Bender's body, I had printed it and mirrored, and that's why the knob on the door was on the wrong side. I couldn't figure out what was going on, and his hand wasn't holding the beer bottle the right way, and I thought it was something wrong. Well, it was because, now see here, look, here's an example. This beer bottle is mirrored, but no one's going to know the difference because it's a symmetric thing. It's perfectly symmetrical. Cigar, same thing. It's mirrored, but who cares? Where it comes into play is on things that have a definitive right and left, and that's where I was running into problems. So I went ahead and printed out the new pieces that I needed to increase my harem for Bender, and I'm letting those dry. And the big thing I need to do is come up with a good skin color or a good metal color. I'm not going to be making these shiny, even though, you know, he's famous for his comments about his shiny metal ass, because I want to keep with the cartoon colors aspect of it. Everything is going to be very flat and cartoon colored. Having said that, I need to come up with a good skin color, a good gray color. Okay, so I have just been spending the last bit of the morning and into this afternoon working on the Futurama bots, spraying a nice gray, what I'm calling the flesh tone, over all of the gal bots while Bender is printing. I needed to make up some circle masks so that I could clean off the area like around the shoes. I did this, but I meant to say the shoulders and of course the shoes, but like this. I needed to mask off that ball of color that I had already painted so that I could paint the arms and the legs. And the faces, I'm going to have to go back in obviously and do some manual touch-up by hand. And while I had the grays out, I decided to change Tweaky from that metallic silver to a gray. There was just something I wasn't digging about how he was looking. He was too metallic looking. In the show, he was never metallic. He was the 70s, late 70s, sorry, not 70s. He was the 80s version of a rubberized metallic, and so that his suit could bend and all of that. The costume could bend, but it wasn't really a high polished metal. So I'm going to leave him as gray like he was, and then I will put a dusting of a metallic over top of that. So, letting everything dry, and then we'll come back in and start doing the hand paint touch-ups. Good morning, y'all. Welcome back. It's Friday. It's the last work day of the week. But then again, it's also Friday the 13th in the year 2020. So, how bad could it get? He says with his fingers crossed. Today, we are going to finish all of these robots that you see strewn about the table here. We're going to finish them, I say, because after today, I'm done with them. Whatever we get done on these today is where they're going to be. So let's get to some reconstruction here. I had to take Bender into the kitchen this morning, and you may notice his feet are wet because I needed to rebend his. Ironically, I needed to bend Bender's legs. Once I got them all stacked up and put together, he was a little forward heavy. He didn't want to stand straight. And while on smaller kits I would have put him on a base, I may yet do that. But even on a base, I didn't want to have to go through a lot of mechanizations to get him to stand up. So it was easier just to take a pan of boiling water, or not quite boiling, but very hot water, soak his legs in it, and then just stand him and bend him into the position that I wanted him to be, and then hit it quickly with some cold water to freeze that position. And that's something you can do with resin kits, and it's something you can do with the 3D printed resin as well if you want to reshape something. Now, it's easy enough to do on these curved arms and curved legs. It's not something I would try to do, say, at a joint there, because that joint is actually going to be stronger printed. It's going to be stronger than the rest of the legs. So, and all of these legs and arms are printed solid. They're not printed hollow. So you don't have to worry about collapsing them like you would if it was like a drinking straw and you printed it and you had it hollowed out in the center and you bent it. There's a chance it would collapse. So I thought I was okay to do that, and it turns out I was. So now we just need to put the gals together. And the nice thing about these being in segments is I can leave the heads on posts like this and make them posable in case I want to, turn their heads a little bit. And Bender's arms I can do because they are very, there's a slot and a pin in a slot, but that's not the case with the gals. They need to be glued into a particular place. Both their hips and their shoulders need to be glued in. They're not really made to move too much, so I have to kind of mock them up and figure out what's the best pose and then tack it with a little bit of CA. I would like to be able to use even a 1-minute epoxy, and I might do that. I might just take out a little dollop there because I want to be able to have some time for it to be posable, particularly the hips, because I want to make sure that they're standing with their feet flat on the ground, and I need to be able to move that joint around and make the most of it. So I think that's what I'm going to do, and I'll take a little bit of 1 minute epoxy and do a quick dollop of that. It'll still set up quick enough that I don't have to hold it there forever like I would if it were, you know, even 5 minute epoxy. But enough epoxy talk. Let's get on. Okay, I've got the legs on the three ladies. They've got legs. They sure know how to use them. Now I've got down to putting the arms on, but getting the legs on was important because that's what stands them up. And the heads will always be posable, so they will not get glued in. The important thing was getting these gals steady on their pins and able to stand up under their own steam. And like I said, I can pop the heads in them now. And now the trick is going to be in the gluing of the arms. Now here's, let's see, we got Bender over here. He's dropped his beer. Sorry to hear that. Just trying to get these to stand properly is going to be the issue, and whether or not they will stand together, or certainly they will fall together. Okay, that's good. That's a good pose for those two. The twins here, I originally had planned one would be wearing a pink outfit and one would be wearing a saucy yellow number. But then once I looked at them, I thought I like them better with the alternating, and of course they would be, you know, pink all the way down or yellow all the way down. But I liked it better trying it out with the switching the accent colors as well. So I decided that's how I was going to fly with those. Rather than putting the yellow sleeves on the yellow character, I would move the yellow sleeves over to the pink character. I think that accentuates their twinness. So I'll go ahead and glue these guys in, and then we'll be ready for the touch-up paint. Okay, so we're coming up on closing time for a Friday afternoon, and the only thing I did not get done was Tweaky. We'll let Tweaky on, carry him on maybe some of next week, but I got Bender and this harem done. Of course, the nice thing about having a 3D printer is you can print additional parts, so I've got a swap out head for when I don't want to use the cigared version. And these have limited posability. I can swivel the head a bit and move the arms up and down. And the same thing with the gals, I can move their heads a little bit. But that makes a nice tableau, I think, for the end of the week. And what I'm going to do now is go bring in the rest of the three projects that I got finished this week. I was getting ready to beat myself up for not getting a lot done this week, and then I come back and I look at what all has been accomplished, and I think, yeah, I got quite a bit done this week. Of course, the genie bottle being probably the biggest thing. That took the most time, but everybody smile for the camera. Oops. Some of these you have to, there you go, have to hold. Yeah, even Oogie Boogie. But there you go. There's your class of November, first week of November, second week. No, middle of November. There's your class picture for the week. So everybody smile for the camera. And I'll even put Tweaky in the background because I did work on him some, but I didn't finish him. And the good doctor. If I can finish those up quickly next week, I will include them then. And that, friends, is where we're going to finish this week's work. It was another one of those odds and ends weeks, and all's well that ends well. It was an odd week to be sure, but this right here, this in particular, this thing, this genie bottle, this is the culmination of a you know, it's a grail item. It's something I've always wanted to have. And being able to print one, and I just noticed the smuts on it. Being able to print one and finish it up with paint and vinyl, that's a pretty good week by itself. And then you add all the rest of these in here, and the more things I print, the more I'm digging printing things. So maybe I've fallen into the dark side. So until next week, when we will hopefully be starting the big project. Y'all be good to each other, be safe, be smart, and we'll see you here next time.